Hello guys, LukeJ speaking. Welcome to Book Reviews, episode number 39. Terry Joe Jim Henson Biography, chapter 1. So let's read it down, shall we? So we got for us. Okay. Here we go. Chapter 1, The Delta. And this is where 1946, 1949. Here we go. This is Jim Henson when he was a baby. Let me just get out here. Quick. This is Jim Henson when he was a baby. I'm not sure what year it was at the time, but this is him when he was little. But anyway, move on. I screwed up the book, by the way. But anyway, in 1947. Wow, okay. About 6 months old. Okay. Move on. Deer Creek wind chassis almost lazily through the muggy lowlands in the heart of Mississippi Delta. Makes sense anyway. Its point of origin near the little town of Scott in Barber County lies roughly 90 miles north of the terminal point of Yazoo River, 3 kilometers away. But Deer Creek takes its time to get there, something like that. Luminant and rolling back, something like that, and forth. In the 200-mile long able, looking for like a Charles Gazer's walls across the map. Wow, okay. I gotta get this thing closed down. Hang on. There we go. Okay. The town of Leland, Mississippi, straddles Deer Creek, just as a bit twist into the one of the first tight airplanes turns, something like that. Anyway. About 10 miles east of Greenville, Mississippi, established before the Civil War. The Mississippi settlement, next page. Anyways, spread out across several former plantations, something like that. Anyway, has taken advantage of federal souls and regular steamboat traffic of Deer Creek to become one of the wealthiest in the Delta region in the 1880s, something like that. Anyway, came the Yazoo and Mississippi Valley Railroad. Wow, okay. One of the influx of grocers, something like that. And railroads and innkeepers, but even when the growing merchants classes and increasing globalization, it was still the land of measured most in Leland, something like that. It was Mississippi Delta. In 1904, the state residents called the creation of artificial sensual culture, something like that. Experiment station in the Delta region. Precisely as a point of where experiments where the soils and hills as well as the Delta came to be made, something like that. That point turned out to be the 200 acres of land hugging Deer Creek. Wow, okay. In the village of Stoneville, pulling the state's new Delta Branch Experience station just north of Prashel borough against Leland. By 1918, something like that. The factory in Stoneville was housing researchers, like that. Anyway. And their families with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, something like that. Carried out research of crops, soil, and animal reproduction for the federal government. By 1930, on the other hand, it's founding animal feed and insect control, and was partial with welcome to pet planters and cultures doing their best to scratch out a living in the swampy Delta soil during the Great Depression. And I do not know what's going on at that time. And Paul from Henson, Jim Henson's barber, was neither a planter nor a shore carper. And that I agree with that. Nor has become a Delta region to work a family farm during the Depression or celebrate a random pang or worse loss. Paul Henson was a practical man. He has come to Leland in 1941. Wow. Same year, my one of my inspirations, Robert McNeil, has been born in Canada, in Montreal. But that's another time. But anyway, with his new wife, Betty, for a partial reason. He has suspended the government post to the Delaware branch experience station in Stoneville. Okay? Now, Paul Henson came up from the line and somebody studied a clear-minded man who sought neither to offend nor outrage at all. Okay? Tried that Paul's famous son was Israel as well. And in fact, Jim Henson, on the other hand, wanted to be very proud of his father's rug. Even tempered Midwestern gauge. Something like that. Anyway. And on one side of his father's family were the Dalton Barnes lines. Anyways. Good-natured and non-combustible and accommodating almost as the default. Okay? On the other were the Hensons. Polytral, rug, and impartial. How to pronounce this word. Sorry. On one of Jim's favorite family stories involved his great-great-grandfather, a struggling unfortunate farmer named Richmond Dalton, who would during the Civil War, had been living in a small Missouri town, in which most of the residents were sovereign sympathizers. Well, okay. Rather than defend the convinced, civilized of his, some of his neighbors. Wow, okay. The Hamilton Dalton, simply swap his farm. Okay? I have to close this up because it's ridiculous with my opening. Anyway, move on. And the top of equitable and business like exchange, okay? Was similar one in the town of Kansas, where the residents shared his own union resident tennis skis, something like that, empanadas, anyway. The move would come to be primarily appreciated by Dalton's teenage daughter, Maria, something like that. But the reasons were more permanent than political, something like that. For instance, we're here in Kansas that Maria Dalton met the rising Heron Barnes, a New Jersey native who had been settled in the area in 1869, okay? She and Barnes were married. Less than a year later, they have a daughter, Effie Charles Barnes, Paul Henson's mother. Okay? On the Henson side of the family, Jim called trades to his pledge back to cultural area farmers in the North Carolina whose descendants and slowly pushed west with the expanded American frontier or something like that. So farms and raising families in Kentucky and Kansas, okay? One of those descendants was Jim's partial grandfather, a Kansas farmer named Albert Gordon Henson. Wow. Okay? Who in 1889 had married Richmond Dalton's level-headed granddaughter, Heavy Joy Barnes. After a merciful, unsuccessful effort to take him a claim during the Chuggy Slip Land Run, where you have rumbled into the dusty Oklahoma countryside, in the mild drawn buckboard Alpha and Happy, will eventually settle in Lincoln County, just east of Oklahoma City. Anyway. You have heard that Paul Ransom Henson with the name of Ransom was borrowed by Effie's barber, Ransom Aaron Barnes, will be born in 1904. Okay? Youngest Albert and Evie's 9 children. Okay? Each morning, Paul Henson's my dad. Anyway, will be awakened by the first light to do his chores, walking half a mile to school. Okay? One more Bill crammed 50 children. Presented over by 2 teachers. Okay? Well, Albert Henson never had much for schooling. He was determined to make education a priority to the children in the Henson household. Okay? With that sort of personal encouragement, Paul graduated from high school in 1924. Wow. Okay? At age 19. Okay? We headed to Iowa State College. Now, Iowa State University, okay? The school recognized as now required graduate programs. Over, next page. Anyway, the next few 4 years, Paul was a member of the agriculture-oriented Alpha Gamma Rho fraternity. Anyway, prior to the Farm Corps judging team, the team was placed third nationally in 1927. Okay. He even discovered a knack for the performance and a member of the dramatic club. Anyway, in July 1928, he received his B.S. in Farm Course and Souls. Excuse me. Anyway, completed a pieces on the hybridization of soybeans. Wow. Following graduation, Paul began work on his master's degree at University of Maryland. Okay. Enrolled in courses in covering plant physics, biotechnology, genetics, studies in chemistry and soil technology. One afternoon, while earning his lunch, caught sight of the attraction to have a young woman walking towards the campus restaurant. When pressed, he would later advance his eyes and his withdrawal made to her legs. He was determined to win an introduction. The legs of this turned out to belong to Elizabeth Brown. Betty, that is her name. Okay? Anyway, as anyone called her, the 21-year-old secretary to Henry Patterson, Dean of the College of Agriculture. Elizabeth Marshall Brown was born in Washington, D.C. and raised in Maryland. Okay? But I've lived in Memphis and New Orleans to make more sense anyway. Long enough to pick up both the living accent and general performance like that. A sound belly, something like that. The action was a matters of worth fitting. For Betty, as a refinement, like that, she's very stubborn and generally also but agrees with that. In fact, it was for Betty's side of the family that Jim Henson could trace his artistic ability. In the straight that the cars won't lie, running through this mother and grandmother back into this eventual great-grandfather. Wow. Okay, then, anyway, his mother, a talented Civil War era map maker named Oscar. Wow. Okay, Oscar Hemrichs, a swaggering Russian who had been emerged into the United States in 1837. Wow. At the age of 2, who began working as a cartographer in the United States Coast Survey at the age of 21. Okay? Reporting directly to Alexander Dallas Brady. Battery box. Anyway. And the survey and great-grandson, Benjamin. Oh my God! Benjamin Franklin, who with George Washington in the United States. Wow. Okay, move on. When the Civil War began in 1860, okay, Oscar eventually enlisted with the Federal Rose, something like that. Anyway, even smuggling himself in the South with the help of the Confederate sympathies, something like that, in Maryland, okay? Along with his map-making skills. The Sovereign caused he even survived battles at Abraham, Gettysburg, and the Wilderness. After the war, Oscar married Mary Stanley. Wow. His father had to help him sneak into the Confederacy and move to New York City. Over the next 10 years, Mary had Oscar 6 children. Wow, okay. Including one daughter, Sarah, Betty Brown's mother, something like that. Anyway. And Jim Henson's grandmother. Wow, okay. Anyway. And it was Sarah who introduced Oscar's Henrik's art straight. And she would learn not only how to paint and draw, but also how to sew, carve, and use hand tools. Wow, okay. Talents that Jim Henson would wide well just as skillfully 2 generations later as he sketched, carved, and sewed his earlier Muppets. Wow. The Henrik's family individually settled to Washington, D.C., where Oscar had happily balanced between jobs, convention, employees, policemen that was discouraging against him because it was service and convention or something like that, balancing his misery. Mary became ill with hereditary cancer. It died in 1891. Shocking, I know. At the age of 52. It was shocking, I know. And less than a year later, the grief-stricken Oscar Henricks took his own life. Shocking. Again, shocking, I know. Leaving an unemployed 14-year-old Sarah to send her 2 younger brothers. The Sarah dropped out of art school in which she had been accepted and moved with her brothers into a Washington boarding house like that. The rest of their lives, neither Sarah nor siblings openly discussed Oscar Henrik's sad demise. Wow. A page for the meditation in and respectful silence and happy conversations that her grandson Jim Henson would also share. And that makes more sense anyway. Now let's move. I have to open this up. Anyway, move on. In 1902, 24-year-old Sarah Henricks was introduced to Mary Brown, a lanky 44-year-old excuse me, clerk and stenographer for Southern Railway. Born in Kentucky on the day after Christmas. Wow. Okay? In 1868. Okay? Mary Henry Brown, Jim Henson's grandfather, was a self-made man with a rugged, suffering determination, raised by a single mother who had totally deaf. Wow. Okay? It was like sign language difference. Anyway. Brown was run away from home at the age of 10. Oh, man. And learned to use a telegraph, supported himself by pouring home, horse racing stores, and Western racetrack. Wow. Virtuous, reader, and quick learner, he next taught himself typewriting and shorthand. Eventually becoming so permanent at both that he would hired as a full-time private security as the president of Southern Railway, where he met Sarah Henricks in the year of 1902. Wow, okay. Brown fell in love immediately, and over their second date, as they ice skated together on a frozen partial river, Murray Brown presented Sarah Hendricks the awful red roses and asked for her hand. Well, the next page. Anyways, newspapers in 1903 may have noted the marriage of Mary and Sarah Brown. Wow. To each other. As were the rest of the family, there will always be Pop and Deer. Wow. For the next few years, okay? Pop and Deer bounced around the Southern Railway, land briefly in Missouri, Washington, okay? Memorials and New Orleans, and all while raising 3 daughters, Mary, Angus, and Elizabeth and Barbara. Better known as A, Barry, and Bobby. Okay? Perhaps, yeah, I have no idea. I thought it was 4, but it was 3 for some reason. But anyway. They said 4, but they cut out the 3 for some reason. Anyway. More. Perhaps because they moved around so often, the Browns were especially close to a good-natured family. I just thought we had the happiest home that ever was, Bobby later said later. More. And I remember what the shock it was when I was going to other people's houses to sleep over, and found out that all the families weren't as fun as nice to each other as ours. Well, okay. At some point in our youth, Murray Brown embraced Christian Science, a rarely new faith that has been formally established in 1879. Wow. Essentially, the daughters were all brought up the Christian Sciences, okay, through moderate in their pet practice, likely through the influence of Deer. Wow, okay. One of the daughters might forego with most medical care in favor of prayer homeopathic treatments. Okay? As the girl, Bay was drunk and Orion bought and high coats. High coats. War, Babs, and complicated a case of whooping cough and more serious injuries were almost always attended by the violations. While A was badly hurt in the car accident, where the family immediately called for a doctor, and far from being concerned about compromising her faith, A remembered being more embarrassed from that the doctor had to cut away her long underwear to see her broken leg. I felt worried, you know. Eventually, the Browns returned to the D.C. area, and for good, something like that. Living first in the periphery, awful place near the railroad tracks in Aysville, Maryland. Wow. The house will be shaken violently as trains roared past before selling the much quieter Maryland Street, 1923. Okay? Let me close this up real quick so I won't worry about the anyway. A and B were expected to help to pay the mortgage each month. And shortly after high school, both found work as secretaries. A as a president company, and B was more as a nearby University of Maryland, where she and her legs soon caught the eye of Paul Henson. Wow, okay. Makes a whole lot of sense anyway. Anyway, Paul with Barry, based on that, we've been better part of 2 years, studying journalism and plant biology at the university during the week at attending regular tennis parties hosted by the Browns on the weekends. Wow. And Paul quickly came to adore not just Bay, but the entire Brown family. it was easy to see why Deer and Pop were devoted to each other, while girls, both then and later, bad distant, almost distant like that, personalities. A was a serious and started one and become a double opposition like that. Anyway, there was a common compatible and no nonsense but she would could show flashes of a slightly silly sense of humor. Okay. While Bobby was a happy-go-lucky one who worked to ensure that everything was upbeat all the time. Okay? All three, too, were excellent tennis players, having them been taught to play at a young age by their dashing Uncle Fritz Henricks. Wow. Who also taught the girls to dance. R.A. learned later admitted she couldn't care less. Okay? Well, about tennis, but the parties kept the Browns in the center of the wide social circles. Anyway. The names of the society pages of Washington Post. Moving on. In the spring of 1930, Paul completed work in his master's thesis on his efforts in strategy and formulation on the distribution of arbitrage, one that has been announced in the corn plant, and received his master's science degree in June of 1930. Okay. Ian Bay married in December 27, 1930. Wow. The same day A was still recovering from a car accident. Wow. Felt worried. Anyway. Married Stanley Jenkins. Wow. A good-natured high school teacher and amateur minister. Although Paul was graduating during the first difficult years of the Great Depression, while his advanced degree and his background in soybean research, he found employment almost immediately as a commissioner with the U.S. Department of Agriculture. In early 1941, USDA decided to post him not to research forestry with nearby Mossville, Maryland. Perhaps Bay had hoped, but rather at the Delta Branch Experiment Station, Mississippi. Newlywed Hensons were off to Leland, Maryland. Wow. Despite the distance from home, even Betty Henson had to admit that Leland was a advantageous place to start a family. The surrounding landscape was flush and green, like Kermit the Frog, which we'll talk about that in upcoming bedtime stories a little bit. But anyway, bringing the wildflowers almost year-round. Prices tree lands, Deer Creek, keeping the stores shiny and friendly, cool even in the human summer, which makes more sense anyway. The population was, except that it's not going to be rain, but that'll be good enough for bad rain. Anyway, moving on. The population was just large enough, hovering around the 3,000 to support movie theaters, which I'm good at movies, but I'm a huge movie type of guy. Anyway, drugstores and several churches and restaurants, while still being small enough to provide a small town feel. Further with from Stoneville with college education scientists, moving like Paul Henson with advanced degrees. The school, next page. Anyway, in Leland was one of the best in Mississippi. Okay, the town, in fact, steamed in pressure of the Depression, and filling the rest of the county near records harvest of cotton and with gin, Stoneville and packed them into the railroad cars with the regularly chug through the Delaware region. Construction were booming, and business and something like that were doing so well that the local police first one that anyway. Oh, I had to close this up real quick. Anyway, move on. Anyway, where was that? Yes, oh man. I don't know where I'm at. I'm just looking. Okay, there we go. That local police prayed about the best way to manage some traffic that snowing board and main streets and Saturday evenings. Wow, okay. Anyways, further, the government has gone out in its way to make the very remote Stoneville gravity as attractive as possible to scientists and staff. Wow, okay. Most employees live in the grounds of the factory itself, and in fact, a home has been built specifically for the Hensons in early 1931. Wow, okay. A 4-room house is just southeast of the new main examination building. It's starting the cost of $3,093. Wow. Milk was delivered daily, free of charge. Wow, okay. Courtesy of the on-state diary. And each year, the factory's Anyway, the factory was sponsored with Delta Days celebration where families would come the miles around to eat the immense pits, barbecued chicken and pork to take part in pickup baseball games and other concerts. Well, okay. Okay, the Hensons would be in Leland only a little more than a year before they had their first child. In the autumn of 1942, with dear Bobby close at hand, Babe was born a son. They named Paul Resin Henson Jr. A small, sad-eyed boy on one bay door, which makes more sense anyway. Something like that. For the next 4 years, they would make regular extended trips back, okay, to her parents' place in Maryland, where the rest of the family could coo and fuss over the firstborn, while Paul Sr. settled into position at Stoneville, something like that. It's given the sibling, he and the administration building each day, with chopping the nearby fields and the soybeans, stretching steadily upward towards the Mississippi Sun. Wow. Now, 4 years later, okay? The week of September 20th, 1946 came, okay? It was an unseasonably hot one for the region. Cotton plants were under the storing sun, while a few severe rain showers lamely soaked into the dry, furry ground. On that Wednesday evening, the 23rd, okay? With the thunderstorm still rumbling across the delta, okay? Paul Henson drove his pregnant wife 9 dusty miles from Stoneville to Greenville, checking the Keene's Daughter Hospital in stern-looking building. The local called Stimway the hospital, okay? Since been only one in the region, the following morning at 11:40 a.m. on September 24th, 1946, that following Thursday, with Dr. Lucas attending Bay Henson gave birth to her second child, an 8-pound, 11-ounce round-faced son, a socket with shiny hair. When their first son had been named for her husband. The second child, Bay, had looked to her side of the family, perhaps internationally employed the same trick Paul Henson's old mother had used when naming him using her father's first name, and her new son's middle one at the time. Betty and Paul Henson's younger son then was James Maury Henson. Wow. Okay. Now, Fuller family would almost call him Jimmy. Okay. Now, only one more than a year later, early 1948, the Hensons moved back to Maryland, taking on hours at 444,012 Tavison Road in Harrisburg, found just before the Civil War in Surrey Railroad track, in the Belmore and Washington Turnpike. Haynesville was an ideal location to funnel traffic between Barrymore and the nation's capital. By the late 30s, it was a bustling streetcar suburb with a troubling thriving downtown. It called a brand new Horseboard, and like Leland, was already struggling with traffic and parking problems, which is terrifying. No. For the next 5 years, between the content bustling the bridge and Texas parties, the Browns, and a few blocks away, Paul Henson would make a short daily commercial up Baltimore Avenue to Bellsville Archwell Research Center. It was newly established Bureau of Plants Industries in 1940. He completed a course in biology at the University of Maryland. Wow, scary, I know. And began researching intelligence for beef culture cow feed. Initially publishing findings in respective Journal for American Animal Science. Wow. For his younger son, Jim Henson, by the way, however, the first years in Henson, Maryland, were a blur. No surprise, worry. Concerns that Jim's colleagues and were later laughed that his ability to recall the past were almost non-existent. Jim hardly even get the past straight, Mother writer Jerry Joel said. That belief because he was completely future operated. Jim did recall seeing Snow White and Seven Dwarfs and The Wizard of Oz at this time, and I have to agree about that they saw these two movies in theaters. Well, let me get it this way, okay? I did, and CNN's people focus, which I saw on YouTube, by the way. I saw when he saw the first movie he ever saw. Window Bay, the narrator at the time, said this. Jimmy first discovered the movies, and the first time he ever saw, the first movie he ever saw, The Wizard of Oz. But really, no, he saw Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I'm surprised with Jerry Joel, but okay. But anyway, but that makes more sense. But move on. And while he was later cited The Wizard of Oz as his favorite film, given that he would have the very free at the time of his 1949 release, it was little wonder that he was never the most was next page. Anyways, being terrified of what Warren MGM Lion before the film's opening to see. Are you sure about that, Jerry? First of all, I am... No, there's a book over. No. First of all, I'm not scared of the lion. Secondly, I'm pretty sure you're going to say this, I'm a big Disney fan, per se. And thirdly, I'm not too sure about the lion. When I have to see it in theaters again, in many years on the projector screen, we'll see what happens. Not sure about seeing it as a kid, but anyway. Move on. Perhaps one of the most important lessons in Pastor B's early Maryland years, however, was learning the Jim's way of speaking. While sound-born, Jim learned to talk in the D.C. region. Wow, okay. Boy was more likely to hear the slightly front vowels in the Mid-Atlantic accent than a southern drawl in the Delta. Okay? Although Jim may have to continue to hear Betty's gentle silent home, it was Paul's flat, slightly nasal Midwestern tribe, as well as his almost whispered, quiet way of speaking that Jim had always adopted. Wow, okay. As he grew older as well, Jim bought Apollo's quick and speaking tap. Too many will be afraid with him and his beard with his beard, which is like my Jim Henson type of beard, by the way. Can't close his tab. Okay, move on. Anyway. Okay, move on. When he deep in thought, Jim would hear, quietly, as he considered a question or comment. The college would learn to gauge Jim's mood from the length of tender and departure, Wow. Okay then, move on. At the end of Jim's first grade year, the Hensons returned to Leland, moving back to the government housed in the Stoneville campus, okay? Okay, the Henson home edged up against its orchard of pecan trees, okay? Planned research and hydration studies being regularly by Jim and Paul Jr., okay? Who would be bringing stack full of nuts and berry to bacon pecan pies. Chickens ran in a small fenced-in area in the side yard, something like that. With the back in the house base, I found in Sewer Drive, William, the three-story red brick abrasion building just beyond the road that ran in the front of the Henson house. The long slope sharply down the Deer Creek. Wow. Okay. Deer Creek wasn't a creek for swimming. Already slow and swampy, sluggish trees crashed regularly down into the mostly water. Okay. Creek makeshift dams. Okay. That black up with the mess and mud debris, my dad. None of us were allowed to swim in that creek, and I agree with that. Anyway, we called Gordon Jones, Jim's best friend at the time. It was still their primary spot for playing. I agree with that 100% at the time. But instead of swimming or fishing, Jim and his friends generally probably romping along the swampy banks. Wow. But there were snakes along the creek bank. We called Tony Badger's another Leland friend. And everybody had to be careful where they walk. To Jim, the snakes were all part of what he recalled following a crucial time. I was Mississippi Tom Sawyer, he said later. I was a BB gun. I shot the water cones like that. The swamp just wake them up. Well, okay. Makes a whole lot of sense anyway. When he wasn't whooping on the banks in Deer Creek or starring snakes into the sky, Joe was an avid bird watcher. Swimming in the high grass near the fields in Stoneville Capon, or purring up into the tops of the copper's trees with the pairs of binoculars. Wow, okay. Then he bumping from this big book of birds, then tried to evaluate what he seemed far past. Badger remember being impressed by reference book Jim had made himself by passing the pictures of birds, cut from books and magazines, and filling the margins with his own drawings. Wow. When pressed, Jim would name the blackbird his favorite, not only for his spunky personality, but also because he delighted in the special bird's less formal name, the grackle. It was short of the deliciously sharp, sounding, non-sexual word for that Jim loved. A meaningless would word that would just sound like it would meant something, okay? Jim and Paul Jr. were enrolled in the Leland Commercial School, okay? Natural high quiet single-story brick building that back into the creek, okay? Here Jim joined the Cub Scouts. And pick up the regular group of friends, okay? Including Bookish Jones, the Registry Badgery, the colorfully named Roy Frazier, and strapping young man named Theodore Kermit Scott. Wow. Okay? Well, the Hensons still refer to the youngest son as Jimmy. Jones, Frazier, and most of Leland, he is hailed by the grown influence James, thanks to a 4th grade teacher who is needed a way to distinguish between 3 boys in their class. Some of our names: Jimmy, Charles. Wow, was going to be Jimmy, said Frazier later, laughing. I don't know what's going on with you. Anyway, Jim Charles was going to be the Jim that met Jim Henson was going to be James. It's not funny. Anyway, he's a Muppet performer. Now, the guy will be teasing you. Come on. Sundays in Leland were for church, and even with a relatively small population, Leland had a number of churches. While Morris Catholic, Presbyterian, Baptist, and several separate black churches, all represented by their own partially brick, stone churches, like that. Churches like that. Yeah. Paulson was, for the most part, not partially more religious, while Bay and her sons were among the few Christian scientists in the entire Delta region. Before the arrival of the Hensons, original study with the town as located as that with the 2 Christian scientists. Moving on next page. Anyway, but Jim's unusual faith would never cause the most accommodation between him and his friends. Okay? Discussing his religious views a few years later, okay? Jim was excuse me, anyway. The spiritual, the faith in general. Of course, the friends and colleagues deeply respected. Over the years, I've evolved my own set of beliefs and attitudes, as well as all have. I felt work for me. Jim wrote later, okay? Makes sense anyway. I don't feel probably comfortable telling others how to think or live, okay? There are people who know more about things that I can do, okay, than I do. Spaghetti. It's not eventual at all, agreed Jordan Jones. And I wonder that wasn't more of an initial thing, something that his parents would have put in him, because it wasn't something that he seemed to really enjoy talking about or feel like he had to talk about. Wow. Still, Jones, a Baptist who curious about enough to ask Jim about his religion at least once. Wow. I remember he had pretty good answers. Jones said, I wanted to know what happened when you get sick, and I felt worried to Jim Henson. By the way, anyway, you don't go to the doctor, and he let me know what the Christian Scientist Bay would handle that kind of thing. When it came to more serious illnesses, Jones said Jim referred to him that these were due to tardy lapse of faith. At that point, they would go to the doctor, Jones said. But generously, they depended on their faith to help to heal them. Wow, okay. Anyways, With no organized church of Christian scientists in that area, Jim persuaded to some degree to the social opportunities provided by Leland's many other churches, okay? Makes a lot of sense anyway. Anyway, some weekends, Kermit Scott and his family would pick Jim up in Stoneville and attended service at the White Spanish Mission style Methodist Church in Leland. Okay? Other times, the Frasers would bring him to the Presbyterian Church on the corner of the Weary and Broad Street, where Jim went to attend Sunday school classes like that. Here's a basement classroom where presided over by the local preacher named Dr. Corwin. Well, okay. Okay. The lessons were remembered more than entertainment value for the instruction and the gospels. Okay, makes sense. Anyway. Corwin decided to engage in students with the trivia questions and that's awarding prize with the quickest correct answer. And for one particular contest, announced that the student with first correct answer will have received a softball bat, when the runner-up will get a softball. Jim followed just before I did, and so Jim had first prize and I had second. Fraser recalled, but Jim already had the bat, so he went ahead and said, "No, I'll take the ball." And he let me have the bat. Just because I wanted to have this so badly. That's what's characteristic to Jim. So, said Fraser warmly. He was a good friend. That was a thank you moment, Fraser. But anyway. Sundays was for church. However, Saturdays was a temple. One of the corners of the bar in downtown Leland stood the tall story brick movie theater. The temple built by the local Masons was used as Spanish upstairs room for meetings. Okay. The name of appropriate here is 8-year-old Jim Henson would spend countless sitting with his eyes cast rosary upward in the darkness fear. Wow. Because of flickering images on the screen, we always go on Saturday to watch a double feature cowboy movies. Western movies, as we call it. But anyway, Margaret said, for 15 cents, Jim and his friends could each get a bag of popcorn, spending the entire day soaking up serials, newsreels, cartoons, and latest comedies and action films. Okay, that's gonna be exciting. So I am a huge fan of Robin and Jim on PBS, but this is exciting. But anyways, moving on. Jim provides you like films, their exotic locations, and costumes. Where is involved in American West and Far East, okay? He and his friends would spend the rest of the week realizing what they see on screen, stalking each other through the pecan trees near Jim's house, building aquatic props, and putting together costumes from old clothing, materials collaged from lying closets. Sometimes neighbors would see Jim's setting swarming facade on these walls in the Henson house, bunch up in the seat where the head wrapped in the makeshift charming, okay? Next time, I was just checking the top. Anyway, pretend there was a snake charm of garden, okay? Hang on. Okay, move on. Sometimes neighbor would see Jim Henson, the swarmy style of the wall in Henson's house, okay? Bunch up the street with his head warping the makeup torment. Okay, move on. Anyway, pretend the snake carving of garden hose. Wow, okay. Move on. Now, typically, whoever that's figured out how to make clothespin guns that fire rubber bands or building miniature slingshots. Okay, makes sense anyway. Jim could almost always come up with a clever way to make their games more fun. A total use of quick imagination and fantasy blends and the use of creativity. Jim explained later this. The trick, he said, was to try out whole new directions. There are many tricks, he said, was to try out new directions. Okay? There are many ways to doing something. Look for what no one has tried before. As he demonstrated many times throughout his life. Sometimes the creative solutions to the problem were almost simplest and usually lie in the plain slide, something like that. But you could see a thing differently. Jones, for example, remember being fascinated with the 1944 communist serial, the Desert Hawk. Wow, okay. Star-sparking action adventure, which Gilbert Waller played the twin brothers, one good, one evil. Okay? The good guy was a birthmark, and there's black in the star, the one of the next page. Anyway, his wires. Joe recalled, so Jim bought me the little corkiness he had made. He has cut, and I quote, okay? Cut it out and made it, a star and carve it, so that I could make a little black star on my wrist, okay? If I wanted to, which I thought it was adorable, absolutely great. He had encouraged to make that thing, or even figure out how to do it. But it was always coming up some simple little things that others didn't. Even at 8 years old, Jones said Jim had something that the rest of us didn't have the initial degree of originality. But Jim had something else as well. He had deer. Wow. Have the closest real quick. Anyway. Even with his daughter Babe, living more than 1,000 miles away, Deer continued to make regular trips from Maryland to Mississippi. Wow. Usually traveling by train with daughter Bobby company, perhaps because they tended to indulge in the more fragile, okay? Kind of reminds me of Hey Donald in style, man. If you look back in the later years, like say late 90s style, mid to late 90s, so early 2000s, until 2017, Hey Arnold the Jungle movie, you're talking Hey Arnold. But anyway, but it's different than that. But anyway. Usually travel by train. Usually travel by train anyway. With daughter Bobby, but company anyway. Perhaps because Bay tended to indulge the more fragile anyway. Less independent Paul Jr. and Bobby left Jim to entertain himself. Jim was especially close to Deer. Wow, okay. They even shared the same birthday together. Wow. I did not know that until now. Okay. On arrival, Jim and Deer will immature themselves in paint and pencil, crayons, and glue together. Okay. Like her map making bother, Deer was quick and sure there was a pencil. She encouraged Jim to his own drawings. Was often a loopy-eyed bird and wide-mouthed monsters. As Jim discovered how the placement of two dots for the dots of the eyes and could cause emotions, and how a slash could make an angry mouth. It was the same especially that he would later bring this sense of design from the Muppets. Okay? They was equally concerned with the paintbrush. She had oil paint, a picture of the rose Pop has given her to propose. Wow. For example, which remained a family heartburn until he fell apart from this in the 70s, okay? It had a knack of craft and delicate work, including carving and sculpting. All skills he should have also learned from Oscar Henricks. He was the one who taught our mother to do the handwork that she did, said Eddie, her grandfather, okay? And dear nurse nurtured the same talents and interests as her grandson, Jim Henson, that is. Apart from their cultural paintings and drawing skills, dear exerted the needle and thread. Her sewing ability, in fact, was the stuff of family legend, and I agree with that. Anyways, Nora's quilt and needlework decorated her home. And dear had to make not only all of her own clothes, but all of her daughter's clothes as well. That's a quilt creation for you, by the way. To recall in all deer's abilities to steal, sew, and with the no nearby any material. You couldn't call that she had sewn for heavy, stretchy army blankets. How did she sew the material? A said, nobody knows. The sew as well, dear one created for Jim Henson. Anyway, who later built, sculpt, and sew his puppets out of his nearby and materials that he could find laying around. Wow. Perhaps more importantly, dear was Jim's best audience. I agree with that. She encouraged Jim in his play, in his dressing up and prop making. Caught stories from him and acknowledged his boundness like that. Anyway, we're in the hour mark right now. Anyway, his fondness, puns, and them practical jokes. Father's reader, dear was inspired the role of Reed and Jim, whereas Alfred Baum's Wizard of Oz, which I want to talk about during book reviews another time, but anyway, books or comic pages of newspapers. That makes more sense. Anyway, with the exception of one thing, which I'm not going to talk about, I'll talk about in book reviews, which is going to be a good idea. Charlie Brown, worst thing to talk about, and I will have to read about it. But anyway, move on. And with her proud sovereign courage, the Brown girls were never allowed to forget they were sovereigners, said Bobby. Dear not instilled them in Jim's simple sense of general and self-importance. It wasn't garbage. Anyway, move on. I have to close this thing one more. But similarly, the commission that he could do and be anything he wanted. Comment you can do anything you want to do from Blue School's difference. Anyway, a command of self-awareness that for the rest of his life, family colleagues emerged and found reassuring. Wow, okay. He was encouraged he was going to be successful, his wife, Jane Slater, said. Move on. I think he would knew he was commercially, but it was a quiet way while he was quietly knew that that he knew things. Wow, okay. With such encouragement at home, it was no surprise that Jim found schools were easy. While he wasn't the best student at class, that the directions felt to Jones, who later became a psychologist. Can we go away? Jim was ranked the top 3. Jim's classmates remember him being very clever, but never seeking the spotlight. No one could recall Jim's taking an interest in school productions, apart from the scholarship supporting roles in chorus and Christmas plays, like that. Anyway, it was perhaps just as well for Jim with the self-spoken that audience members would likely have had the strain for hearing. Wow. While Jim was taller than the most boys in this age, it was neither gawky nor an athlete. It's never been football, not at all, no. But current scout emerged, Jim was a little bit more than a nerd. Which is not funny, anyway. I'll talk about the movie making nerd episode another time. Now the rest of the game. Yeah. Still, Jim could surprise his classmates by establishing the same herb brand of toughness that had set the partial grandfather, Robert William, in the chicory strap. One evening out of Jones' barn, Jim and his friends took part in this boxing match, sport with which the well-built and slightly older Tommy Baggate excelled. The boys took turns pulling out the gloves and fight one-on-one. When it came time to next page. Anyway, find it. How long do we need the pages? We're almost done. We're a few pages left. Anyway, find it, point to take the good nature, the solid backwards, something like that. Otherwise, we're downward, something like that. Follow Jim's step forward. He would do things like that. Jones remembers something like that. Anyway, he has guts, and if somebody else wanted to do it, he would. And he just go ahead and make the best of it. The result was Jim Tommy hit him with an uppercut and knocked him down. Wow, okay. Jones said, "Oh wow, okay." But remember thinking how much nerve it would took for Jim to put himself in that spot. Still, there was no hard feelings between Jim and Baggett. Wow. His mother, Jessie Mack, served as one of the dean mothers for their Cub Scout troop. It was the Cub Scouts, in fact, that Jim got his first taste of performing. Putting in the kind of spontaneity, something like that. When Gordon Jones is part of a troop skip night, as Jones stood with his spread hands like that, clenched behind his back. Well, okay. Giving a short speech in a deadpan manner, something like that. Jim stood pressed and is behind him. Okay. Poking his arms through the crook Jones' arms and performed the speaker's hand. He reached out his handkerchief and pat Jones' forehead, doing all these kinds of things when we were all thought it was hilarious. Wow. Fraser remembered, it was no accident. Jones later said that Jim was performing his expressive hands, which were part of the skit, calling it originally, and showmanship Jim was a showman. Well, okay. Betty Henson also served as a dean mother for Jim's Cub Scout troop. It was also turned out that the Henson home was a favorite gathering place. Not only because Betty was known to serve warm pleased pecan pies. That's we're gonna man. Move on. Okay, move on. As Scout means, but also because the Henson household was a generous, warm one. Okay? And I like each other, but the good sense of humor mattered. The Hensons, said Jones, were very quiet people. But they all had a sense of humor, but they would say things that were funny, but there was no loud voice laughing. Wow, okay. Makes sense anyway. Move on. Everybody was very merry, and they did a lot of wordplay and things of that nature. Well, Paul Sr., Dr. Henson, and the boys respectively called him, was perhaps the quietest member of the family. He was known around the Stoneville crowd with his way of story. During the almost weekly summer fresh fish fries in the Spirit Station, a crowd would gather around Paul and he launched into his one funny story after another. As for Betty Henson from that, so we'll get away. She was especially delightful, said Jones, with a bright, witty sense of humor. She took great delight in gently teasing the boys, pouring a glass of milk into overflowing. For example, if the boys didn't literally say wham I say, okay, that's enough. And she kept pouring. Laughed Jones. His mother was great with jokes, okay? Agreed Fraser. We recall Betty trying to convince him that blurry baby picture exactly showed Jim with 6 toes. She said, you never noticed how he had 6 toes. And they kept saying, take off your shoe, Jim. Wow. Okay? Anyway, Jim, it seemed, could see the humor, in almost every situation. For a while, the Hensons owned a horse named Peggy. Wow. The volley creature that Jim and Kermit Scout would attempt to ride along in the pecan trees were near the Henson home. Instead, Peggy would bolt to the low-hanging branches to knock Jim over. Wow. Or anyone else. Off her back. Wow. While Jim howled with laughter and the nerve of the horse, Scott was less amused. Both of us nearly got killed. Wow. He grumbled. Wow. While horses aside, Jim and Paul Jr. were always tangled with something. While Paul was more mathematically inclined, working on detailed projects with small parts, Joe was more involved with 2 brothers. Okay? Often taking up on big, messy projects that required a great deal of space. While Jim and Paul were 4 years apart, they remained close. Jim is given his slight build. Paul was more comfortable playing with Jim and his spreads than boys in his age. Paul Henson was, in fact, remained a slight build for the rest of his life. And Jim would spend hours together in their side yard, hunch over the modern airplanes, and circle radio sets. Anyway, Jim would always be a gadget freak. Patchy likely in turn from his great uncle Ernie, Deer's younger brother. Wow. Who had built his own crystal radio in his 1920s, and so he and Deer could listen to 2 black crows, okay? Together on the radio's earpiece. To Fraser's delight, Jim's radio worked as well. You could get one radio station very faintly. And the pressure on Fraser's but it worked. As much as Jim liked the building radios and knocking how they worked, he loved listening to them even more. Early radio drama was an important part of my childhood, Jim said fondly. I go home at 4:30 or 5 in the afternoon to hear the shows like The Great Hornet, The Shadow, and Red Ryder. Of course, I love the comedians. Fibber McGee and Molly, okay? Was one of Jim's favorites, okay? And Jack Benny. And most of all, Jim loved the Sunday evening. Next page, anyway. Okay? Evenings when NBC Radio was the Chase and Support Hour, featuring veterologist Edgar Bergen and his favorite dummies, Charlie McCarthy and Momo Snurd. So let's just, I have to close this tab. It's kind of ridiculous. Anyway. Bergen was always phenomenal. A journalist who had marketed the success on the radio, okay? Where no one could see the performance. Who was watching Bergen live in the studio might have argued that was for the best. As Bergen's portrayal skills could often get sloppy, something like that. His left swiftly movement when he spoke through his dummies. It was charged Bergen started off. To Bergen, the technique was secondary to the characters, and Bergen excelled both at creating moral characters and bringing them to life, almost perfectly through the sound of his voice. Well, okay. Bergen engaged his characters and rapid fire, something like that. Hunt by so nipply. Rotating falls between his own voice and his voice of his English sidekick, Charlie McCarthy. And that makes more sense anyway. Or Demhead Marber Snur. That radio's listeners can advance they were real people. Jim Henson once was certain of it. I was thinking that most people are puppets. Well, okay. He said they were human to me. Wow. But went even further than that. As Jim would explain years later, even using a dummy allowed Bergen to do something incredible, something like that. Eddie Bergen's worked with Charlie Morber with magic. Wow, okay. Jim and dummies, something like that. Magic in a real sense. Something happened when Edgar spoke to Charlie, through Charlie. Things are said that could be said by ordinary people. As Jim would discover, there was a kind of magic and wonderful kind of freedom involving letting a character at the end of your arm give voice to sense that once might not feel comfortable, impressive while wearing the guise of, as Jim called them, ordinary people. Wow, okay. We're almost done with the episode. But anyway, I was going to do episode 40 today. That I'm telling this one, but I decided not to. But that's just me. Anyway, in 1948, the U.S. Department of Agriculture sent the Henson family back to Maryland, where Paul returned to work at the Bellsboro Orangeville Research Center. The Jim family purchased a cozy new 1,500 square foot house at 4002 Beechwood Road in the recently incorporated town of University Park, only a little more than a mile from University of Maryland. He has been leaving not only a 12-year-old Jim, but a circle of friends as well. I was really sad and upset that he was getting ready to move, said Gordon James, something like that. Jones, we were getting who would be also moved to Cleveland a short time later. But being back in Maryland did bring with its own one major blessing. It means being so close to Deer, who still live with Pop in the house at 4306 Martin Street in Hinesville, something like that. Less than 10 minutes away. Now, instead of gathering a family perhaps once every 3 months, Henson and Browns could get together every week to eat large berry dinners around Deer's commercial set table. Then returned to the porch to talk and tell stories, and they rocked and reverent on the squeaking milk gliders. Wow, okay. Those gatherings would always be some of Jim's fondest memories. There was so much laughter, he said, because everyone was always telling jokes and saying funny things. It was easy to see Betty Henson have gotten her sense of humor. With both Pop and Deer were funny, but in different ways. While Deer tended to silly, Pop has more keen and simple sense of humor, but that he would never laugh at Reasonable. I explained he didn't want to think Reasonable was funny at all. Felt worried. Anyway. Thought Pop would never allow conversation to veer towards anything remotely unpleasant or disagreeable. Something like that. A trait that would be defined Jim as well. Something like that. If a dinner conversation seemed to be getting out of hand, we called Paul Henson. He'd get a reader disguised to read it to us. Many times Pop would come to the table with a joke or a funny story, always in mind. So anyway. Move on. Boy prepared necessary to be size control in the wide-range conversation or ground move. Things could get even livelier at the holidays when Addie and Bobby and their families were added to the mix. 15 or 20 people would be there, sitting around the dinner table. Jim remembered some of that, and my grandparents would have stories to tell. Usually stories with their childhood. When they would tell a tale, and somebody would try to a topic, something like that. I was about that these childhood experiences of my family sitting around the dinner table, making each other laugh, and were my introduction to humor. In fact, Jim's whole sense of humor was a mix of every kind of humor seated around the table. A touch of Deer's laugh out loud sensibility. A sense of Paul's quiet joy of storytelling. Dash of Betty's twinkling delight of wordplay. Then seasoned with Pop's more than syllable edge of sit always loud, with his audience never at sea. But by 1949, there was something else that happened perhaps in even last page of this chapter, and that is this. More pronounced effort in Jim Henson. As a gadget freak. Wow. There was a new device that had him absolutely fragilized. It was a version that would direct his focus, shaped their audience, and would become. And it changed the very course of his life. It was television. Jim was certain that he would drive him all crazy until he had one. So that was chapter 1 in the book, Jim Henson's Biography. I think his childhood memories at Leland and the fact that his moving to Maryland once and then twice will get amazing. I've seen this before, but the fact that I haven't not seen bits of it at the time, we're getting ready to be amazing. I think the entire fact about that book to read were amazing. I want to get back to chapter 2 originally today, but the fact that I wanted to push it back till another day, because of 4th of July things in the works, I have to get this back on hold. But if I do it tonight, that's just me. So that would be good enough. But that's episode 49 of book reviews. I hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned, next going to be episode 40 of book reviews, which is going to be about chapter 2 of Jim Henson's Biography. Until next time, so John's Box Baby, good morning, book reviews, guys, be so to say out. See ya.